Controversial movie opinions. If there's one thing I can be sure of, it's that everyone who sees films regularly definitely has them. And in a way, all that does is show the versatility of cinema. One man's favourite film could be another man's worst nightmare. We all have different things we want to get out of a film. Sometimes a film can provide something that we say we want but not quite connect with us, and sometimes a film can provide nothing that we usually ask for and still find a way into your heart. So today I thought I'd take a short amount of time to discuss some of my controversial movie opinions. I mean, destroying my credibility, pissing off anyone who watches my videos, why not? When I talk about films that I like way more than the general consensus, the first one that always comes to mind is obviously Shaun of the Dead. Wow, what a surprise he's talking about Shaun of the Dead again, and I know, I'm sorry, but quite frankly it hurts me a little bit that this film isn't considered a masterpiece. And I know it's got far from negative reviews, but 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb? Nah, sorry guys, if it were up to me this would be right up there in the top 250. Another film that my mind automatically goes to is Us. This is kind of the ugly stepchild of Jordan Peele's two-movie career because of how unanimously loved Get Out was, but I found Us to be a natural and brilliant progression of nuanced and subtle writing and direction from the filmmaker. Obviously the ending makes no sense at all, which is where a lot of the hate comes from, but it's a small price to pay for such a brilliantly made, rewatchable action horror thriller. I'm going to be watching anything Jordan Peele puts out now, it's as simple as that. Speaking of directors who going forward I'll watch anything they bring out, Martin Scorcese. You know, the guy who made such masterpieces as Goodfellas and The Departed. Yeah, Goodfellas is the 17th highest rated movie of all time on IMDb. And while I do think it's a fun, gripping film with memorable characters and performances, seeing it placed so high is kind of a bitter pill to swallow. Not only do I think there's a lot of movies that deserve to be higher in the grand scope of cinema, but I don't even think it comes close to some of Scorsese's other work, like The Wolf of Wall Street, The Irishman, Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, Shutter Island, the list goes on. Same can be said for his second highest rated film and the 42nd highest rated film of all time, The Departed. The film has some tense moments for sure, and the cast all do well with what they're given, but the fact is what they're given really shouldn't have received as much praise as it has in my opinion. A lot of the plot revolves around lapses in logic, contrivances, and conveniences. Its portrayal of time is sloppy, and it can't seem to make up its mind about how we're meant to feel about a lot of these characters. Looking at what they chose not to adapt from the original film Infernal Affairs leaves a lot to be desired. But if we're talking about Scorsese films that don't get the praise they deserve, a prime candidate for me would be Shutter Island. While again it hasn't been negatively received, I've never seen anyone place this within the higher end of their top 10 Scorsese films, which is where it comfortably sits for me. It's definitely one of the more unique Scorsese movies, and while I haven't seen a decent chunk of his work, it's one of the most emotional experiences in his discography. How about we talk classics? I'll get this one out of the way first. I think The Godfather is good. Maybe I'm at the wrong period of my life to fully appreciate it, maybe I just need to rewatch it for it all to click, but right now I'm kind of confused about why it's hailed as one of, if not the best film of all time. As I said, it's good, the acting is good, the characters are good, the overall look and the way the story pans out, while it's pretty convoluted, is good. But I only watched this for the first time a few months ago and it's scary how little of this 3-hour film I remember. While I'm already pissing everybody off, now would probably be the time to mention that I think Barry Lyndon is easily one of Stanley Kubrick's weakest films. My next video will be a Kubrick ranking, so I'll go more into it then, but for now I'll just say that no part of me understands why a lot of people consider this one of his best. But while we're on the subject of Stanley Kubrick, I think that Full Metal Jacket is one of his best movies, easily in his top 3 for me, and it's a shame that more people don't agree. I understand that the second half is less interesting than the perfection of the first half, but I think that the whole package is great regardless of this split, and too many people let this dampen their experience. Again, I'll go more in depth in my Kubrick video. Moving on to another fan favourite director, let's talk about Chris Nolan's Dark Knight. Good movie. Definitely not the 4th best ever made though. Why don't we use the fact that Christian Bale was in this to segue into American Psycho, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. There's a lot to like about American Psycho, from Bale's performance, a couple good scenes here or there, and interesting talking points about corporate America, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired, and as a result I do consider it a bit overrated. This is one of those films where the final twist works against the movie. Having the whole context of a film shifted in its final moments can make for an innovative, rewatchable film, but in order for American Psycho's final reveal to work, it needs to leave the audience feeling like nothing makes sense throughout the majority of the runtime, which, big shock, doesn't make for the best viewing experience. Another classic that I can't get behind is Grease. Listen, if all you want from a musical is some iconic songs and dance sequences, then fine. I can see how Grease is the model child for that, but as a film, it's kind of dreadful. The central romance lacks any kind of development or natural progression. It's just 1 minute they hate each other, the next they're completely fine, just based on whatever needs to happen in the scene. The moral of Grease is that when a shallow fuckboy who only wants you for sex keeps embarrassing you and then always comes back later to do exactly the same thing over and over, the best course of action is to abandon your dignity and submit yourself to his way of life. The girl with the dragon tattoo. I've talked about it before, but this film is a sloppily written mess, and while I understand the general consensus is that the original Swedish version is better, the fact that people have largely walked away from this, accepting it in any kind of positive light, kind of confuses me. The same can be said for how I feel about Toy Story 4. I've seen a scary amount of people rank this higher than other entries in the franchise, which shocked me because once I'd finished watching it for the first time, all I could think was, what a mess. Not only does it undermine the perfect ending of 3, not only does it push all of our favourite characters to the sideline, not only is it too crowded with new characters that have no time to make a name for themselves before another one comes along, not only does it completely contradict the entire purpose and theme of the whole series, but it's so desperate to recapture the emotion of the third film wherever it can, that it can't even keep to its own messages at times. Yeah, the ending made me cry for all the wrong reasons. Can we talk about Bridesmaids? I've always kind of heard that this is one of the better / more tolerable comedies of the 2000s, but if you were to ask me what I think about it, yeah, this movie is trash. Lazy comedy, lazy character moments, predictable romance, boring direction, and one of the least likeable leads I have ever seen. Honestly, Bridesmaids would make a pretty good social commentary about the corruption that ego can cause in a person when you think about it. I've been talking negatively for a while now, so let's finish by talking about 2 comedies that I like more than the general audience. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I think that Deadpool 2 is a fair bit better than the first. I find their cast of characters way more entertaining now that the title character has more personalities to play off of. It doesn't look anywhere near as bland and lifeless as the first film, and if they're going to make the Deadpool movies just as sentimental as the films they're meant to be parodying, I at least feel like the emotional beats work pretty well in this one. And this is going to be a weird way to end the video, but bear with me here. How has everyone just forgotten about Grimsby? Now, do I think this is a genuinely good film? No. But if I was at some sort of gathering and everyone asked me to put on a film that would make the whole room go batshit crazy, Grimsby is going to be my first choice. The fact that a film about a council house benefits fraud, played by Sacha Baron Cohen finding out his brother is a spy, and ends with the two of them saving the world from an exploding virus by shoving fireworks up their asses and survive the virus because they have elephant sperm in their bums, has faded into the back of cinema goers' minds, baffles me. Get with some friends, get some drinks, and put on this movie. It is nuts. So there you have it. What did you think of all my controversial movie opinions? Leave a comment and let me know. And make sure to drop a couple of your hot takes too. While you're there, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you soon.